Welcome to the 2020 Salem Football Awards presentation. Tonight is going to be special. It's going to be unique, much like our football season was this year. Things were upside down, backwards, sideways, but we found a way to get it done. Tonight is going to be filled with highlights, humor, heartache, and humility, much like the world that we live in today. But it's still going to be about our guys. It's going to be about our players and about the commitment that they made to Salem football. We had a very special year this year in a lot of ways. But what's going to be remembered from this year's team is not the wins, the losses, not the touchdowns and tackles, but it's going to be the way that they came together, they overcame the situation that they were in, and they did it together and represented Salem in a first-class manner every Friday night throughout the fall. We're going to recognize each young man by class and make sure that they get their due in the spotlight. The commitment that they make, the sacrifices they make to play Salem football are immense. And we are very, very proud of each young man, and we want to make sure that each of them get their due. Tonight's first group that we're going to talk about is our freshmen. Our freshmen had a challenging year with numbers, with experience, and with opportunity to practice in the summer. But what they did do is they persevered and overcame all of the things that were thrown at them. They battled each and every week. And the most important thing, we saw each young man get better and better and better as the season went on. The first young man is Cody Butts. He's an offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Cody is one of the most athletic guys in the program. If you have any doubt, you ought to watch him do flips and somersaults and turns in full uniform. Very, very impressive. We're looking forward to Cody contributing the next 3 years. Next is Austin Chafin. The young man that got a very serious injury early in the season, but he persevered and overcame and never missed a practice. Was as committed as anyone in the program. Football's new to him, and I really hope that he stays with us because he's got a chance to have a very positive experience in our program. Next is Braden Cooper. Braden had a highlight game against CVCA in the last game of the season. He had 4 sacks in really a quarter and a half and showed that he can do a lot of things coming off the edge of our defense. He's going to be making a position change at his request next year, and I'm excited to work with him then. Ryan Crow. Ryan is a wide receiver defensive back that was kind of the big play guy for us. He really loves football. Ryan was really not feeling too good, let's say, against Alliance this year. Had a tough time making it through school, but he battled and had a very, very good game. And really showed his leadership as far as being with the team because he knew how much they needed him, and he made it through that game as he did the whole season and was great on the perimeter for us. Next is Ross Davidson. Ross played a lot of positions for us this year. He started out as a wide receiver, went in and played some quarterback, played defensive back and some linebacker for the freshmen. Ross is a football player. He earned his first varsity letter this year playing on Friday nights. He excelled on special teams. And then when given the opportunity in a time of need for us, he played the safety position, started varsity in our last game of the season, and had an exceptional performance. Ross is going to have a very, very promising future here, and I hope he continues to lead his class and set a positive example for everyone. Next we have Caden Flickinger. Caden's a big-bodied guy that has a chance to really make some impact in our program. He's got to be good in the weight room. He's been there every day getting better, and I think when he takes that next step, that next growth spurt, he's going to become a quite imposing player, and we're looking forward to working with him. Next is Anthony Gomez. Anthony's versatile. He played every position on the field. I mean, he wanted to play wide receiver early. We needed some linemen. He jumped right at that chance to get the opportunity to play. Played on the defensive line, the offensive line, some linebacker, and he showed up to battle every week. Very impressed with Anthony and really appreciate the effort he made to contribute to us this year. The next young man's new to football. Joined us in the winter during the lifting season last year and really attacked it in the weight room. Nate Caston. He is a young man that started from the ground floor and did it the right way by starting in the weight room. He's committed to the weight room, did a great job in there, worked as hard as anybody, and his strength shot through the roof. And he is going to be a very, very good football player for us the next 3 years. Dominic Maniscalco. Dominic was the linebacker, running back, toted the ball for the freshmen all year, did some work on JV as well, and earned his first varsity letter by playing special teams on Friday nights. Made a lot of tackles for us on kickoff cover, And we think that he's going to have an opportunity to contribute offensively and defensively next year on Friday nights. He's always great in the weight room, doesn't say boo, just goes to work and gets after it. And we are really excited to have him. The next young man is Eli Martin. Eli had a tough injury early in the season with his knee, but he's another young man that cared enough about his teammates and the program that he never missed a day, came and worked every day, and I know how much he likes football because of how long he's played it and how excited he is every day when he comes to work. Eli's going to continue to develop in the weight room and get bigger and stronger, and we're looking forward to working with him next year. Next young man, Trenton McCoy. Trenton McCoy played the most difficult position on the team. That's center, because every play is the only guy on the field that touches the ball every snap, and you only get noticed when you do something wrong. But Trenton accepted that responsibility, played exceptionally well, played very, very well on defense, was twice named Freshman of the Week this year, which doesn't happen very often, is going to have a very good career for us and give us depth at that center position in the future. Next is a young man that joined us late in the summer, Chase Poffenberger. Chase was a team favorite and a coach's favorite because he worked so hard and he cared so much. Made great improvement through the year, made a huge stop in the end zone against Poland at the end of the half. Big time play against a very, very good football team, and his best football is ahead of him, and we're really excited about having him with us. DeAndre Smith. DeAndre Smith may be one of the most naturally gifted players in our program. He is very, very good at any skill that we ask him to do. He had a tough time this year with an illness in the middle of the season, but he overcame that and came back with a vengeance and played great at the end of the year. We're really excited to have DeAndre with us for the next 3 seasons. Pierce Stell. Pierce Stell is a guy that had a tough injury early in the year with an ankle, spent a lot of the season in a walking boot, but he came to practice each day and continued to listen and learn and support the program, ask a lot of questions. And when Pierce got the opportunity to play, again in that Poland game, he had an outstanding game. He made as good a clinic film play that you can make on the outside zone against Poland that really gave us a glimpse of what he's capable of, and we think he's going to make big contributions next year. The next young man, I'll apologize to him up front with his name. We have worked together diligently, he and I, for me to try and get this right, but I struggle. Hayden Tomadievich was a godsend for us to a degree this year. He asked if he could play last spring. We said absolutely. He's a kicker, and he had accepted the challenges of being a quarterback on our freshman team, and he excelled at both of them. He moved and played some wide receiver as well at the end of the year just because he's such a fine athlete. But Hayden lettered for us as a varsity player this year, handling all of our place kicking and kickoff duties, and he improved every week. I don't think he missed one the last 3 weeks of the season, missed a kick, and his kickoffs were very good. And his onside kick against Carrollton, proved to be a part of the big difference in the game for us to get the ball back. Hayden is a fine athlete and a great young man that I got to work with every day by him playing quarterback, and I can't wait to work with him for the next 3 years. Next is Alec Turnbull. Alec Turnbull's everything you want in a player, especially at this stage of their career. He is a sponge. He soaks up knowledge. He wants to play well. It's very, very important to him to be a great player. As an offensive and defensive lineman, when you get that kind of energy and excitement out of a young man, it makes you excited as a coach. Alec knows what it looks like being around the program as long as he has, and he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do here in the real near future. The last freshman in our program is Davey Watson. Davey Watson's an H-back, defensive lineman, linebacker. In all of those positions, he's a physical guy, and he's a physical player. He had a great game against Marlington, ran a lot of Chicago plays where he kicked out and was the lead blocker. Just had a very fine season. I think he's falling in love with football, so to speak, and is excited to get in the weight room and continue to develop. And we think he's got a bright future in our program. That is our freshman. We had 17 young men that participated this year in our freshman program. The availability of only 14 for the majority of the year due to some injuries. But these guys battled and played and adapted and played different positions because they loved the game of football, they wanted to play, and most importantly, they wanted to play together. class of 2023, our current sophomores are the next young men that I'm going to talk about. It's a very special class that's had incredible success in their football careers up through the youth program, the junior high program, the freshman program, and many of them contributed greatly to the varsity program this year. First young man in this class is Britton Allen. Britton is a young man that really likes contact. He really likes to hit people. He's a great defensive player, a solid wrestler in our program too, and just such joy and such fun to coach. Britton cares about his teammates greatly, loves being around them, loves being around the coaches, and the feeling is definitely mutual. Britton's going to be a big-time player for us here just because he's all about the right stuff. And Britton's a young man that we really are excited about for the next 2 years. Next is Xavier Ansman. Got as much respect for Xavier Ansman as anybody in our program because a couple years ago we asked a wide receiver defensive back to make the move to offensive center because it's such an important position on the team. And I knew he was so responsible and so conscientious that he would do a great job. He has taken to that position and he's done everything that we've asked him to do. He really got our attention late in the year in some JV games where he was really striking people and running. Had an interception that he almost took all the way back to the house, but he really did show great speed and athletic ability on that play, and Xavier's going to be a really big contributor for us. Next is Jacob Brandt. Jacob's another young man that made a big sacrifice for the good of the team. We needed a JV quarterback, and Jacob had never played the position, but he willingly accepted that challenge early in the season, worked at it, got better at it, understood it, and we had complete and total faith in him. He played some wide receiver and some quarterback and some defensive back in those games, and I was really impressed with how important it was to him to be good at it. Jacob got injured in the year that cost him a little bit of time at the end of the season, but was there every day supporting his team and is a big part of our program. Bryce Chamberlain. Bryce is a young man that's extremely talented, can do anything. He came in and played some quarterback for us as a guy that hadn't played that before. He could punt, he could kick, he could play defense. He's just a very talented young man. In a big-time play that he made in a JV game, he got injured on, which was very unfortunate. But I tell you, he continued to be part of the program and supported our guys, and learned a lot from his time this year. And I hope we can get Bryce back and have him continue to grow in our program for the next 2 years. Christian Chappell. Christian is a young man that it's really important to him to be good. It's really important to him to be a factor. And when you have that kind of passion, it's easy to coach those kind of guys. He did some things for us in practice this year that made us a significantly better football team. And then he carried that over to JV games. And then he got opportunities in varsity games because of the amount of effort he put in and the quality of practice that he was having, that he got those chances. And he's going to have a great opportunity next year to become one of the guys in our program and play a significant role the next couple seasons. Ronan Gallo. Ronan Gallo is an offensive lineman, perfect body for it, perfect makeup for it. He's improved so much in his time in our program that he has such a bright future. He's a big athlete that moves well and, again, cares deeply and wants to be very, very good, understands football, which is a big part of it. And we have a couple spots to fill and really expect Ronan to contribute next year in those positions. Next we have Jackson Johnson. The thing I can say about Jackson is he loves football. He loves Salem football. He loves the guys that he plays with, and he just loves being around it in every aspect. His performance speaks for itself. We'll address some of those things later on. But Jackson is the kind of guy we want in our program. Mind, body, and spirit, sets a great example, and very, very happy to have him for the next 2 years. John Kidd. John Kidd's a guy that grows daily. He's like a chia pet. He just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger and stronger and better and better and better. John Kidd is going to be a phenomenal talent here. He had a great year as a sophomore. On defense this year, his roles will expand on both sides of the ball next year. But he is a kid that really pays attention to detail, wants to do the right thing every time, and fortunately for us, he does do the right thing the high majority of the time. He's a fine young man and a fine football player, and is going to be a big time, impact for us here the next 2 years. Isaac LaFlame. Isaac's a guy that's coming off of an injury his freshman year, a tough injury for a lineman, a knee injury. But man, did he battle all year in rehab and got better and better. And with that, he found himself a little bit in the weight room. He learned to fall in love with the weights and to get stronger, to become an athlete. And when given the opportunity this year, he really ran with it. He became one of our most explosive defensive linemen, making a lot of plays both off the edge and inside. And Isaac's going to have a real promising future here as a two-way lineman for us. Next is Dylan Monroy. Dylan Monroy is one of the most talented guys we have in our program, athletically. Plays everything. He can play running back, he can play wide receiver, play anywhere on defense. He just makes plays. Dylan's got to continue to gain confidence in himself. For some reason, a guy that's that talented, I think, sometimes lacks confidence that they can do what we ask him to do. We wouldn't ask him if we didn't believe he could do it. And Dylan's going to find that in himself, and we're going to become a much better football team for it the next couple years as he takes off and explodes on the scene here the next 2 years. Donnie Ash. Donnie Ash was a huge bonus for us this year. He provided so much depth on offense, but he just took the job on defense and ran with it. He was a guy that got better every week. It was a season all about learning, and it was very important to Donnie to learn, to get better, to understand football so he can become the leader and type of player that he aspires to be. There's no doubt in my mind that's going to happen, and we're going to lean on him a lot the next couple years. Caden Swiger. Caden's a guy that's a Swiss Army knife, so to speak. He could play all 4 positions on the perimeter on offense, could play a couple different spots on defense, played special teams for us. But the thing that Caden maybe did best for us all year was be our scout team quarterback. It was so important to him to be our scout team quarterback. He treated every day in practice like the Super Bowl. He wanted to be the best player on the field. He wanted to challenge our defense. He wanted to make plays, had a great time doing it, and it made us a significantly better football team. It's another guy that loves football, loves being around it, and we love having him. Caden's going to have a great career here the next 2 years. Next is Noah Stecker. Noah's a guy that is one of those guys you look at and goes through drills that sometimes you don't understand how he plays as well as he does. He makes plays. He makes plays on the defense line. He went to linebacker, a kind of a unique position that we had this year. Was kind of a hybrid between the two. And Noah just plays find him. He just goes out there and works his tail off and makes plays, and we're excited to work with him the next 2 years. Brandon Van Horn. Brandon Van Horn is a guy that grew more than anybody in our program this year. Not physically, but just as far as awareness and as a football player. It kind of overwhelmed him early in the season. It was fast, it was big, it was heavy. And then when he finally realized how to use his body to combat all of that, he became a starter the last half of the season for us at outside linebacker. Brandon is a very, very talented young man, can play on the perimeter. Allowed us to do some things with his talent against Poland where we could put him out on the perimeter on a guy, number 1 receiver, even though he's a defensive lineman. It allowed us to do some things against them. And when you have that kind of versatility and that kind of talent, it's going to allow for us to do a lot of things as a program the next 2 years, and we're ecstatic about having Brandon with us the next 2 years. Next is Ethan Whitman. Ethan's a young man that is going to come of age next year. We've talked about it a lot individually. He is going to come on the scene next year knowing what to expect, knowing how to handle it. He's going to keep his body big and strong and be in a position to contribute next year. He made maybe our best hit this year against Mooney in a JV game. He made a hit that could be heard, from here to Youngstown. We're really excited about him taking that to the next level with us next year and being a big-time player for us on the defensive side of the ball. Next is Justice Whitman. Justice is the guy that joined our program for the first time this year. Had Justice in class, was really impressed with his intellect, how smart he was, how he looked at things and could see himself. Justice really came along as a football player this year. Got an injury late in the year, missed the last 2 or 3 games, but man, he was such a pleasure to coach, and I'm so excited to work with him the next 2 years and have him continue to grow so eventually he will achieve what he sees himself achieving. Justice Whitman's a fine guy to be around, and I'm excited for him to play. The last sophomore in our class is Gavin Wilms. Gavin is a very talented young man, been around him a long time athletically, know what he's capable of. We challenged him a lot of times this year and put him, really pushed his envelope, so to speak, to step out of his comfort zone and do some things that he's not used to doing, and he really stepped up to the plate and got it done. Offensively, he was a great player for us. Defensively, he's a great player for us. The most critical game of the year, so to speak, where we had a unique talent that was needed on a hands team, fielding onside kicks against CVCA. We put Gavin at the highest profile position on that, where he was going to get the most kicks and the toughest ones to handle, and he got excited about that, worked at it diligently all week at practice, and did a fantastic job. He is going to be a very special player for us the next 2 years. Those are your sophomores, special young men in a very special class. Next up are our juniors, the class of 2022. This is a big class, guys that have been together a long time, playing all the sports together. It's really neat when you get a bunch of guys that come together with one common goal and stay together like this class has. First young man in this class is Jason Austin. Jason accepted the challenge of being our running back this year. He was our tailback, and with that goes a whole lot of responsibility. Jason is a guy that you love to coach because he really pays attention to detail, asks a lot of questions, and really wants to learn and be a great player. We're going to ask him to expand his role next year. He's an incredible guy in the weight room. Is a good leader. He doesn't say much, but leads by example because he does everything exactly right. Jason's a fun guy to coach, and it's going to be neat to work with him next year in his senior year and see him have the success he deserves. Next is Mason Blaine. Mason's a big-bodied guy that plays offense and defensive line for us, really focused on the defensive side of the ball this year. He's a hard spot in there and has worked really hard at getting faster and quicker. If he can do those things and keep doing those things, he's going to make a major impact because you just can't coach his size, his strength, and his interest in getting better. He's young for his class, just turned 16 this year. Would like to have been here early enough to redshirt him. We'd have him for a couple more years, but excited to work with Mason next year in his senior season. Next young man is Tayton Ellis. Tayton moved here last year. We've had him for the last 2 seasons, and to watch him grow as a person, as a football player, has been very rewarding. Tayton cares a lot about football, cares a lot about the weight room, and more importantly, cares a lot about his teammates. He's fun to be around. He jumped in and took running back reps when we needed him this year in a couple Saturday morning games. Had a lot of fun with that, and I think soon realized how hard it is to run around and run away when you got 11 guys trying to get you. Tayton did a great job, and it's going to be a lot of fun to coach next year. The next young man's Blaze Exline. We'll get to a lot of his accomplishments later on, but you're going to have to give us a couple hours because what he accomplished this year was amazing. Setting 5 school records, leading the Mahoning Valley in receiving. He's just an unbelievable talent. The thing about Blaze, and you can attest to, is that from watching him, he's significantly faster than you think. Everybody took a bad angle on him. He ran away from everybody and never looked like he was going hard. Blaze is just an exceptional athlete, very, very skilled, just does his job, does it perfectly, and doesn't say much about it. I mean, he's a great guy to coach, a great team guy, and is going to be one of the best guys in the entire state of Ohio next year. Next is Josiah Haas. Josiah Haas found himself this year. As a defensive lineman, Josiah Haas is one of the most explosive young men in our program. Very strong in the weight room, but learned how to carry that over to the football field this year. He made us so much better offensively because we would use him to go against us as a defensive lineman on the scout team just because he gave us a great look. Then he would go out there and play for us on Friday nights and do the same thing. We're building things around his talent. He offers us a lot of things for next season, and we're really excited about having him on our defensive front, and we're going to use him a little bit on the other side of the ball as well. Some things we've talked about, and he's very excited for that, and I'm very excited to coach him. Michael Hickson. Michael Hickson's a guy that maybe spent as much time in the weight room as anybody in our program. He worked very, very hard through the winter, the spring, the summer, doing the extra work, was having a fine year, being really the leader of our special teams, and then in a game on a Saturday morning, broke a collarbone in kind of a freak accident, falling backwards with a guy on top of him, and boy, was he heartbroken, and so were we, because he was really coming along, provided great leadership for us, a lot of excitement. But he's worked hard at getting back. He never missed another day in the weight room, even with the broken collarbone, because he wanted to be there with his group, be there for his team, and did that through the whole season. So Michael's going to have a very special senior year. Xander Lesko. Xander Lesko is a guy that has gotten better, not every year, but every day. Every day since his freshman year, he's gotten better and better and better. There's going to be a place next year for Xander to show his talents and to excel. We have guys like that every year. And Xander is a guy that has really grown so much, cares so much, and has gotten better and understands everything that we're doing, that I cannot wait for next season to get here just for guys like Xander. Because Xander's going to go out and compete, play. He loves Salem football, and he's going to be a fine player for us next season. Noah Marshall. He is the kind of the Dalai Lama of center, so to speak. He's had the most pressure playing that position that's filled with pressure, snapping the ball every game for us this year. Noah's a guy that, started playing that position last year out of need at the JV level, but worked at it, and his talent and his growth allowed us to, adjust our offensive line to where we got what we felt the best 5 players on the field to help us, and really took that responsibility seriously. At times, anytime that he would struggle, he learned how to self-correct, to work at things, to get it fixed. Had a great relationship with the quarterback where he could communicate and know where the snaps were. Noah's going to continue to get better. Now that he's got the snapping under control, and now he can take that next step in his career, or in his abilities, is now just concentrate on blocking and finishing and that kind of thing. And he really needs to lead for us, because like I said before, every single play starts with the center. He's the only guy that touches the ball every snap. And we're glad that we have Noah doing that for us. Devontae Montford. Devontae's a guy that came back to us, was with us in our youth program into junior high, then moved, and then has moved back to Salem, and we're glad he did. We always talk about don't count your reps, make your reps count. Well, Devontae didn't have a lot this year due to the transfer rules, but one big one that he had was recovering the onside kick against Carrollton. That was a huge play. He was so excited, we were excited, but when he got the opportunity, he made the best of it. Now he's going to have lots of opportunities next year as a position player, and we would use him on the scout team this year to give us a great look. And he's pretty special with the ball in his hands, and he runs around on defense. So we're really excited to have him go through our winter season, through our spring season, our summer season, all for the first time, and then let him have a special year his senior season. Sam Murray. Sam's a guy that has done a lot of things for us. He decided this year he just wanted to concentrate on the defensive side of the ball, and I think when he gets comfortable over there and he finds himself and gets comfortable with himself, he's going to have a good season. He's got so many attributes. He's physically gifted. He's very, very smart. He thinks about things too much sometimes. If he would just trust himself, cut it loose and play, I think he's got a chance to be pretty good. Guys always find their best self, so to speak, their senior year, and I think Sam will be one of those. Griffin Panzot. Griffin got his opportunity to start on our offensive line this year and did very well. The thing Griffin did best was get better every week. And he was willing to take, constructive criticism. He was willing to take, points that we had to make for him to improve. And he worked diligently on those to make sure that he got it fixed, because it's very important to him to hold up his end of the deal. He's a very proud Salem man, wants to be a great football player, knows that he owes a lot to the guys around him, and wants to make us the best football team we can be. We're going to ask him now to take the next step next year and be a big-time leader for us, because he's got all the attributes in the world. He's got all the talent in the world. Now he just has to take that next step and lead us. But Griffin's a great football player, and really excited to run behind him next year. Carter Reed. Carter came back to our program this year after taking a year off, and we asked him to do some pretty tough things. We put him at the H-back position, and he really took to that well. He's got a good feel for blocking, lead through. Defensively, he played a couple different positions. I think he's found his home now down with his hand in the dirt. I think he's going to have a pretty good run at that next year. He's just going to continue to grow. He'll have a great year in the weight room this winter, continue to develop, and now that he's back into it and understands the speed of how things go at that level, I think he's going to do very well. We have some packages that we're talking about that's going to incorporate more bigger guys, and we do that with Carter Reed in mind. I'm excited for him for his senior year. Next is Corey Risen. Corey Risen's a guy that we didn't realize how much we missed until he was gone. He had a tough knee injury this summer, and then it took longer to heal than he anticipated. But when he came back with a vengeance. And the reason Corey was able to do that, it was because of how much attention he paid every day in practice. He really took to the scouting reports every week, knew everything about the opponent, knew what we were doing. And then when he got the opportunity to come back and play, he was a difference maker. The Alliance game in particular, he really was the difference in that game with some stops, firm tackles, no extra yardage, being where he's supposed to be. They tried a couple deceptive things that Corey picked up on right away. It was great to have him back, and it's going to be great to have him leading our defense next year as a senior. Ethan Schaefer. Ethan's another guy that came back to us after a year, and I'm so excited for him to have a senior year because he keeps getting dinged up. Some crazy injuries, some things happen to him on and off the field that it just makes it tough for him to really excel because he's got so much talent and so much desire. I think Ethan has a chance to be have a pretty good senior year in the fact that he's getting so strong. He's doing a great job in the weight room. He's going to get his opportunity, and I'm excited to coach him and see him experience that his senior year. Austin Sinkovich. Austin's a guy that needs to have a great senior year. He's put in the time, the effort. He's gone through some adversity. He needs to have a great senior year because he's earned it and he deserves it. But that's not going to happen by accident. He's going to have to get out there and work like he does. And I think the light bulb is going to go off, in receiving the football. He's just such a talent at 6'5", 185, 190 pounds, and can run like the wind. I think Austin's going to have a very good senior year of going up and getting the football for us and being a difference maker in the passing game and just a red zone nightmare for the opponent. Excited for him and can't wait to get started working with him this summer. Caleb Stockman. Caleb's now a 3-year starter. He's got 34 starts under his belt as a Salem football player. Made the move from center to guard this year for the good of the team and really took to it. Got better every week. We did that because Caleb was talented enough to pull and kick out and run and do those things, and he got better at it every week. I think when he finally grows into his body and isn't dinged up all the time and can really excel in some dynamic things that we ask him to do in the summer, he's got a chance to be a difference maker. He's a great locker room guy, great teammate, great football player, but we're going to really push his buttons to get him to take the next step in his career as well next year, and can't wait to get started. Next is Carson Stockman. Carson Stockman is a great football player. He is a beast. He mauled people all year and just dominated his opponents. He is a leader on our football team. Had many accolades that you'll hear about later on as an offensive lineman, and we're going to press him to take that attitude to the rest of the team. He is such a proud young man, such a proud player, that he gives his absolute best effort every single snap in practice and games and anything that he does, because he has so much pride in being the best. A great guy to coach because you don't have to tell him things twice. He is really a special young man, special player, and is going to be a leader of our program next year. And I really feel for the guys he's going to be playing against, because he is going to get after him for 48 minutes a night, every night. Great football player in Carson Stockman. Damon Wolf. Damon's a guy that we moved in some positions this year of need, and because of his abilities. Damon's gotten bigger, stronger, but he still has that athletic skills and talent that he had when he was a younger and smaller athlete. He's a guy that affords us a lot of freedom to do some things with. He struck people, had some of the best hits we had this year, filling up the ISO, taking on guys. Made a great play against Minerva on the block punt return. Didn't quite score, came up an inch short, but was a lot a lot of fun to coach because he was willing to do anything we asked him to do. That will continue because we know he's capable and we know he's willing and we know that he has the ability to do it, and he's going to have a very special senior season. Brock Young. Brock's a guy that has been solid for us. I mean, everything we ask him to do, he does. He's probably the best blocker we have on our team. He's become a big athlete, 185, 187-pound athlete now with great hands, great ball skills, and is willing to block and strong enough to hold up. The thing that impressed me out of Brock this year is he never went down on the first tackle. One guy never got him down by himself. He's become physical, and he's a good enough athlete. He's an outstanding athlete, has the ability to run through guys, and we're going to give him plenty of opportunities to do that next year. Brock Young. That is all of our junior class. These guys, again, are a special class because they've stayed together, been together for so long, and together they're going to accomplish amazing things next year. Next to our special honorees, our seniors, the senior class of 2020. Not big in numbers, we had 10, but they were monsters, giants in their desire to be great players. This is a class that led us through these tough times, did some amazing things individually, and did some amazing things as a group. It was so neat to see those guys be together on our last day together, and how much they genuinely cared about each other. So I'm going to give these guys the time they deserve, starting with Divine Allah. Divine Allah is a young man that I'm as proud of as anybody in our program for the way that he's persevered and hung in there in his 4-year career in our team. We got him as a freshman, and Divine didn't know if a football was blown up or stuffed. Had no idea, no clue. But it was so important to him to be part of our program, to play the game, and to be as good as he could be. All he did was develop himself into an all-league player this year. Played a very tough spot for us at the defensive end position, where we asked him to take on pulling guards, pulling linemen, fullbacks, and he did so brilliantly and did it better and better and better every single game. I don't know if I've seen a young man grow as much as an individual and as a player as I've seen Divine. He was great in the locker room. Teammates had a lot of fun with him. He just loves Salem football, and we are very proud to have had the opportunity to coach him, and are excited to see what he does in his future, and how he continues to grow and represent Salem football. Jax Booth. Jax Booth was an amazing football player at Salem for all 4 years. Started every game, I think, his last 3 years. Jax he wants to win so badly, he'll do whatever it takes to win. He's a 150-pound guy that we were forced to put in the middle of our defense at times. And how did he respond? Didn't complain, didn't back away. All he would do is have 20 couple hits every game we had him in there. Made plays on offense, was our return specialist. Jax is an incredible player. And I like his grit. I like how hard he fights. I like how his enthusiasm is contagious. He's going to be sorely missed and represents Salem football in a great way. And I hope our young guys look up to him and say, hey, that's what it looks like. And they want to be just like Jax Booth in the future. Next is Landon Cooper. Landon's a guy that we only got to have for 2 years. It took him a while of daily recruiting to finally get him to come out and play for us his junior and senior year. His junior year was a great learning experience. His senior year was a great football season. We played him both at outside linebacker. We play him out at corner. I think was as good a man-to-man guy as we had because he was big and long and physical and could shut guys down. He really had a great senior season. Was a lot of fun with the guys. And I hope Landon got as much out of Salem football as we got out of him. He was such a pleasure to coach, and we are really, really proud to have him in our family. Next is Brady French. Brady's a guy that took a year off last year and I think missed football tremendously. He came back this year with a vengeance, would work hard. He's really making some strides on the defensive line and had a hard time staying healthy. Got sick a couple times this year and had to miss some time, but got him back. And the most impressive thing about Brady was, I tend to be here quite a bit at school, and I'd hear clanging and banging outside, and I'd look out the locker room door, and Brady's up here in the dark of night hitting the sled. just by himself, just trying to get better. And that kind of work ethic, whether it pays off in tackles and sacks and that kind of recognition is one thing, but that kind of work ethic will pay off big time for him in the future. To care that much, to work at it that much, very proud of Coach Brady French. Cooper Gotchling. If you look up in the dictionary what a left tackle looks like, the skills that they possess, the attributes that they have, all of the talents that they're blessed with, he's got none of them. Cooper's got none of them. But I'll tell you what, he's one of the best left tackles I've ever been around. He plays with such great leverage. He understands the game. He's got so much passion and drive. He's been a two-time All-District player, not because of the gifts God gave him, but because he's maximized the things that he does have. Intelligence, heart, desire, and just passion for his teammates made him be a great player. I'm so proud of Coach Cooper Gotchling, and I think we got so many teachable moments from Cooper to share with players down the road, that you can accomplish anything if you just trust yourself and trust your techniques. Cooper is such a pleasure to work with. Very proud of him. We're going to miss him tremendously. He might not look like your prototypical left tackle, but he played better than a lot of guys. A lot of guys look like Tarzan and play like Jane. Cooper, you see him, but he played great. Toby Jezik. Toby's a guy that you root for, man. You want him to have success. He worked so hard and he put so much time in, and he finally got his due this year. He's a starting defensive lineman for us the majority of the season. Toby had some big games for us this year in the middle of our defense. He would stay in there and hold his ground, take up two guys. He was selfless in doing that, and that made our defense better. Toby's another guy that, man, I hope he got as much out of Salem football as we got out of him, because he really maximized his abilities, played great, was so much fun to be around, and very, very proud to call him a Salem man. Lane LaFlemme. Lane's a guy that has played a lot of positions for us, and that's not so different except for his excitement to play as many positions for us as he could. He's done a lot of things. He's been a running back, he's been a slot receiver, he's been a kicker, was a linebacker, played defensive line. Lane was an incredible asset to our team. We put him in at nose this year. He would follow a guy like Toby or a really big guy, and then we'd put a small guy in there that was extremely strong and quick, and he could just run around guys and make plays. Lane's going to be remembered in our program because of his versatility and his willingness to do whatever it took to get on the field. Very proud of him, and know that he's going to do great things in the future. Next is David Ash. This is David's first year with our program. He wanted to experience football. He wanted to be part of our program, part of the team, and we are so glad that he did. David had a very, very serious injury week 3 of the season. Had a very serious injury to his ankle and lower leg. But I tell you what, he handled it with such admiration, such grace. I can't tell you how impressed I am with him as a young man. He knew that could happen in the game of football. He was willing to take that risk, and he accepted that. He's just such a pleasure to be around. I think he's such a great role model for the guys in our program. He's great in the locker room with them. Never missed a game after the injury, was always around our guys. David was going to have a special year this year. He was playing well and getting better every game. Hated to see that happen, but if you can find silver linings, we became better as a team and a program because of it. Couldn't be more impressed with him as a young man, and he is amazing. And I was so glad to have him as part of our team his senior year, and really hope that he got as much out of it as we did him, because it's a very special experience to have David with us this year. Deshaun Sponbauer. Deshaun came back to us this year for his senior year, and I think he had a good experience. Enjoyed coaching him. He's a good locker room guy. Our guys had a lot of fun with him as well. Had a fumble recovery on an onside kick against Poland in the playoff game that was huge. Again, a lot like young men we talked about earlier, is you don't count your reps, you make your reps count. And Deshaun got the opportunity in that game and made one of the biggest plays of the game by, giving us the ball back, us going up 21-0 there, and he contributed in many ways. And I think he had a good experience coming back his senior year, and we'll remember that as we remember him. Andrew Walla. Andrew's our only 4-year letterman on this year's team. Played as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. Really found himself this year on our defensive line. Andrew's a big athlete, man. He is a big guy, gotten better and better shape every year throughout his career. Was great in the weight room, and Andrew is as good a practice player as you're ever going to find. I mean, he is a clinic film guy on when you want things taught and shown. He's perfect at that. I think he just lacked a little confidence when it got to be in games and lost a little bit of his technique. But when he ever figures all that out, and I hope he has great confidence in the other parts of his life. I know he's doing great at work. He's a leader there. He's a leader on our football team. Andrew Wall is a special guy. Had a great senior year, and really excited about watching him continue to develop, into young adulthood, because I think he's what we need more of. Andrew had a great year for us, and really appreciate everything he did in this program. Those are your seniors. Very special group, and couldn't be more proud of these guys for leading this team of men through the most troubling times that we had this year. Great bunch of guys. Parents, you should be very proud of these young men. I hope we gave these young men a little something for their next step in life, that they can draw on from our program, and I'm excited to follow them. I'm very, very proud of them. Love them very much. Your 2020 seniors. Now we will be celebrating individual special awards. Guys I want to start with are the guys that make it all happen on Friday night. Our pigskin facilitators. Our guys do a great job in all weather, and again, another group that only gets recognized and noticed when something goes wrong. But they do a fantastic job, especially in this very challenging year of handling the football and getting it to the officials to put it in play. It is our guys that handled that this year. Will Harmon, Gavin Colbert, Cletus Monroy, and Derek Ash. They did a fantastic job, and I'm very, very appreciative of the effort that they gave. Next, we want to celebrate our academic champions. This is a thing that our guys compete hard for. It's very important to them to be up on our board in our locker room with their name and their picture of being the champion at their position group. For our offense and defensive line, with a 4.167 GPA, Griffin Panzot. At quarterback, with a 3.833 GPA, Jackson Johnson. At running back and linebacker, with a 4.0 GPA, Devontae Montford. At receiver and defensive back, we had a four-way tie, all with 4.0 GPAs. Landon Cooper, Blaze Exline, Brock Young, and Caden Swiger. And our specialist, with a 3.857 GPA, Hayden Tomadejevich. These guys did a fantastic job, and as long as we continue to have great competition for these spots, our team is going to succeed greatly in the classroom. The young men that earned Academic All-Eastern Buckeye Conference awards set the highest number we've ever had. We had 36 in our program this year that earned this award. You had to have a 3.5 GPA or better and letter on your varsity football team. Earning it for us this year, Landon Cooper, Brady French, Cooper Gotchling, Lane LaFlemme, David Ash, Andrew Walla, Jason Austin, Mason Blaine, Tayton Ellis, Blaze Exline, Josiah Haas, Xander Lesko, Noah Marshall, Devontae Montford, Sam Murray, Griffin Panzot, Carter Reed, Corey Risen, Carson Stockman, Damon Wolf, Brock Young, Britton Allen, Christian Chappell, Ronan Gallo, Jackson Johnson, John Kidd, Dylan Monroy, Donnie Ash, Noah Stecker, Caden Swiger, Brandon Van Horn, Ethan Whitman, Gavin Wilms, Ross Davidson, Dominic Maniscalco, and Hayden Tomadejevich. We have also sent in our entry to the Ohio High School Football Coaches Association for Academic All-Ohio status. This year we have a 3.92 team GPA. That should put us in the running for the top spot. We're very excited and anticipate the results that should be coming out in mid-December. The next group of young men we'd like to recognize are our freshmen. The freshmen come out and practice with us starting in June minicamp and are at the same schedule as our varsity. We honor these young men each week by having them dress varsity and travel with the team or at home and play on Saturday mornings as well. The first recipient for the West Branch this game was Ross Davidson. He's the son of Doug and Lori Davidson. For the Canton South game, Alec Turnbull, the son of Steve and Joanna Turnbull. For Carrollton, Trenton McCoy, son of Bob and Brooke McCoy. Marlington was DeAndre Smith, son of Samantha Smith. Minerva was Nate Caston, son of Jake and Celeste Caston. Alliance, Ryan Crow, son of Lee Crow and Tamara Egoff. Struthers, Trenton McCoy, son of Bob and Brooke McCoy. Poland, Davey Watson, son of Joe and Chris Watson. East Liverpool, Braden Cooper, son of Abigail Sheridan and Chris Cooper. CVCA, Chase Poffenberger, son of Kirk and Jennifer Poffenberger. And for the United game was the entire class of 2024. The next award is our 100 Hit Club. We encourage our young men to get to the ball every single play. If they can get to the ball before the whistle blows and make contact with the ball carrier, it is a hit. We were a bunch of swarming bees this year. We really emphasized this. We had 2 young men accomplish this. First, Jax Booth led our team with 153 hits. Our other recipient is Jackson Johnson, who had 109 hits. Our next awards go to our PTO players of the game. Each week the coaching staff nominates guys who they think were the PTO players of the game. We discuss it and we see who gave most selflessly and played their role most perfectly in each game. This year for the West Branch games, Carson Stockman. Canton South game, Jax Booth. Carrollton game, Divine Allah. Marlington game, Blaze Exline. Minerva game, Jason Austin. Alliance game, Austin Sinkovich. Struthers game, Cooper Gotchling. The Poland game, Jackson Johnson. East Liverpool game, Josiah Haas. The CVCA game was our kickoff return team. The United game, Ross Davidson. Now we would like to honor those young men that earned recognition on area all-star teams. First, we have Dylan Monroy, who's honorable mention All-EBC. Landon Cooper, honorable mention All-EBC, honorable mention All-Quad County, and honorable mention All-Columbiana County. Caleb Stockman was second team All-EBC, honorable mention All-Quad County, honorable mention All-Columbiana County. Divine Allah, second team All-EBC, first team All-Quad County, first team All-Columbiana County. Cooper Gotchling, second team All-EBC, first team All-Quad County, first team All-Columbiana County. Blaze Exline, first team All-EBC, first team All-Quad County, first team All-Columbiana County, second team All Northeast Inland District, and he's a WKBN Big 22 finalist. Carson Stockman, first team All EBC, first team All Quad County, first team All Columbiana County, first team All Northeast Inland District, and a finalist for the WKBN Blocks of Granite Award. Jackson Johnson, first team All EBC, first team All Quad County, first team All Columbiana County, second team All Northeast Inland District, and a WKBN Big 22 finalist. Jax Booth, first team All EBC, first team All Quad County, first team All Columbiana County, honorable mention All Northeast Inland District, and he's a nominee to play in the Ohio North-South All-Star Game. The Japanese call it wa, a harmony that exists when we care for each other and don't care who gets the credit for our success. We had some young men break all-time records this year, but it took the entire team to make it happen. Those young men were Jackson Johnson, who broke the record for passing yards in a season that was held by Mitch Davidson. Jackson threw for 2,831 yards. Next, we have a young man that set 5 school records this year, Blaze Exline. Blaze set a record for receptions in a game with 18 versus Marlington. Broke the record of Jake Humanick. Receptions in a season with 112. Again, broke the record of Jake Humanick. Receiving yards in a season, 1,345. Broke the record held by Jake Humanick. Touchdown receptions in a game, Blaze tied that record with 4 versus United. That record is currently held by Steve Strabela and Corey Belaney. And touchdown receptions in a season, 19, broke the record held by Chase Ackerman. These are great accomplishments by these young men, but I believe they'll be the first ones to tell you that it took all 11 guys together to make it happen. We'd like to now conclude our awards presentation with the individual special awards. The first individual award is we have Rookie of the Year. It's awarded to the freshman football player that best exhibits the qualities of Salem football program. Academic achievement, athletic ability demonstrated on the field and in the weight room, and selfless commitment for the betterment of the team are the qualities weighed in the selection of this recipient. The young man that earned this award this year started from the ground level, started in the weight room, worked hard all year, got better, and brought that spirit to the rest of the team. Playing football for the first time, he really shows a lot of promise and does everything right, both in the classroom with a 4.0 GPA, in the weight room is our hardest worker and strongest young man, and on the football field got better and better every week. This year's Rookie of the Year, Nate Caston. The next special award is the Stinger Award. It is awarded to the player that best exemplified the theme of the Alliance game. The challenge was for our players was to become one swarm and sting our opponent repeatedly into submission. The recipient is the player that stung most frequently, most passionately, and at a level that allowed the team to succeed. We dominated the line of scrimmage, and this young man took 1, 2, and sometimes 3 guys on a particular play. Blocked exceedingly well, played with great passion, and really took the theme to heart for this week against Alliance. This year's Stinger Award winner, Cooper Gotchling. The next award is the Battle Axe Award. This is awarded to the player that best exemplified the theme of the East Liverpool game. I am sore and wounded, but not yet slain. I will lay me down and bleed a while, then rise to fight again. The recipient is the player that rose most valiantly and fought selflessly for the success of the team. The winner of this award was unbelievable in this game. There's a Division I tackle on the opponent that was supposed to be a great player, and we ran around him all night, had a couple sacks, couple hurries, forced a fumble, just had an exceptional game and sold himself out for the good of the team. This year's Battle Axe Award winner is Divine Allah. The next individual award is the King Cut Award. This is awarded weekly to the offensive lineman that executes the most cut blocks in the game. All blocks must be legal and within the philosophy of the offensive game plan. The recipient is the offensive lineman that accumulated the most cut blocks on our opponents for the entire season. We had a great battle this year. We had several guys win this award each week. It was displayed in their locker each week, and a lot of pride in those young men to earn that award. But at the end of the year, setting a new record for cuts with 46, the King Cut Award goes to Noah Marshall. The next award is our captains. This great honor carries with it immense responsibility. It is the goal of our program to develop a leader in every locker. Leadership comes in many forms, and we encourage each player to confidently lead in their areas of strength. Our team identified the young men that exemplified each area of leadership. Our physical captain, Carson Stockman. Our intellectual captain, Jackson Johnson. Our emotional captain, Jax Booth. And our social captain, Cooper Gotchling. Congratulations, men. The next three awards exemplify our program: mind, body, and spirit. The first award is the Senior Academic Award. It's awarded to the senior football player that has achieved the highest cumulative grade point average through the first grading period of the current year. This year's academic award winner is David Ash. The next individual award is our Man of Steel Award. It's awarded to the football player that exemplifies commitment in the weight room, attendance, intensity, strength, leadership, pound-for-pound ratio, and a direct impact on performance are all factors used in determining the lifter of the year. The beauty of this award is it gets more and more difficult every year to find one winner. We have so many young men that really put it out in the weight room and develop themselves into great players, and this year's recipient has the second highest total in the history of our program. And he's also in the top 10 pound-for-pound ratio, and for a 260-pound man, that's pretty impressive. He benches over 300, squats over 500, deadlifts over 500, and has only scratched the surface as he continues to work this winter. This year's Man of Steel Award, Carson Stockman. The last individual award is the Salem Man Award. This is the most prestigious honor awarded to a Salem Quaker football player. The recipient is the young man who most embodies the core values that serve as the foundation of the Salem football program. He excels in the classroom utilizing his mind. He develops his body in the weight room in preparation to excel on the field. He serves as a role model and leader, exhibiting the traits that are the spirit of a Salem man. This young man only has touched the surface of his academic abilities. He is a brilliant young man, which is not only seen on the football field, but also in the classroom. He works hard to keep his body put together because what we ask it to go through is crazy sometimes. He steps in the box with the biggest, strongest guys and continues to battle each and every week. Catches balls over the middle and takes shots time after time, but it's important that he's put the time in the weight room to keep his body together and to strap it up every week. In his spirit, he is the emotional captain. He is the guy that is the fire that burns Salem football. This year's Salem Man Award winner is Jax Booth. This concludes our 2020 Salem Football Awards presentation. I hope you're as proud of the young men in our program as I am. We had a great year, a strange year, a unique year, but the most special thing about it is we made it through this year together. I want to spend a minute talking about 2021. We all hope that the world gets back to normal, that football gets back to normal. But hey, in case it doesn't, we've been there, done that once before, and nobody adapts and overcomes like Salem football. Next season, we look for big things. Our guys have been gunning for this for a long time. The seniors that are leaving us have put us in a great position to take the next step up. And we don't want to let those guys down because we appreciate them so much. Our schedule is similar to what it has been in recent years. We have non-conference games at the front end of the schedule, focusing primarily in Columbiana County. Then we get into our league schedule. Then we have the one-game season week 10 with those guys 8 miles west. And then we have our postseason, which should be a long and prosperous run for the Quakers next year. We hope that you guys will be there with us, that everyone can come and check out a great bunch of young men, and we can continue to carry this program forward and take it to new heights. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you next year.